In today's video, we are heading out to Lake Concordia in Ferriday, Louisiana. This lake is loaded with cypress trees, docks, rocks. There's a little bit of everything out there, a little bit of grass. It's not a very deep lake. The deepest place is probably 30 feet deep or a little bit deeper. This is an oxbow off of the Mississippi River just west of Natchez. And it is going to be very hot today. It's supposed to get up to around 100 degrees outside. There's a heat advisory. It's very humid. The water temperature is going to be probably between 89, 90 degrees for most of the day, maybe a little bit hotter. So let's go see if we can catch some fish. All right, guys, good morning. We are about to get started here. So a little expectation bit before we really get started too deep here is I haven't fished this lake in about 5 years, but I know a bunch of people that fish this place all the time and usually do pretty good, so I figured I'd come out and give it a shot. Water temperature is 85 degrees, which is a ginormous blessing because the last few places I've been fishing, water temperature has been anywhere from 89 to 94 degrees, which is just freaking painfully hot. This is 85 degrees, seems like 30 degrees to me anyway. They just had a fish blow up right on that grass line over there. Don't you just love it whenever you're throwing a topwater bait, you're not getting bit, and all of a sudden you see a fish blow up just randomly? Oh, we're bringing it right up next to this cypress tree here. Oh, how did we not just get freaking smoked? Tell you what else is pretty difficult. I'm a big wood flipping kind of guy, so if I had my pick and could just catch fish doing anything, I would be flipping a little beaver style bait, Texas rig up against these trees all day long. I love catching on that plastic, but I don't think yet anyway that's what bite's gonna be on. So we're just kind of covering some water and seeing what we can do. All right, we're gonna pick up and go idle over to the other side. $8.12. We did get a little bit later start than I wanted to, but boy, I mean, goodness gracious. Waking up at 2:30 to leave at 3 to get out here at 5:30 at sunrise. I gotta wake up early enough during the week, man. Some of these docks do look really good, so I'm just gonna go ahead and kill it and go give it a try after I get me a little bit of swig of a Powerade, guys. Who's a Powerade fisherman out here? Makes another little toss into that inside corner again. It gets shallow quick over there. See, man, if I was a fish, I would be sitting right there in that shade just like that. But I'm not a fish. And I can promise you one thing, I definitely don't think like a fish. I definitely don't think like a fish. There's one. Hey, I think like a fish to catch that one. Let me power pole down. I'll come show you guys what we're doing here. That's fish number one. I'm gonna let him go. But you can see the little edge of that dock right there. It's, you know, there's probably a foot of shade. And just toss this. Couldn't even tell you the name of this bait actually, but it's just a little shaky head. It's got a chartreuse tail. It looked good to my eye, so pick some up. And it's on a wobble head jig head, so see, this little head wobbles back and forth. But this is the worm here. And yeah, so just toss that in some shade. Fish just brushed, didn't get bit, tossed it into the shade right here, and we got bit. So let's go see if we can get another one. Jeez, man, these fish jumping are killing me. I might have to pick up that spook again and give it another shot on this side because these fish jumping are just really driving me nuts. Plain and simple. Oh my word. Guys, I'm telling you, they just probably had a 9-pound bass just go freaking explode over there on the other side of this dock. I'm about to have to spend a lot of time over there trying to catch him because my goodness, he was a giant. Well guys, I told y'all I saw a giant fish jump, and it wasn't quite as big as I thought, but it was big enough. And I did catch him. And the way I caught him is just pretty nuts. I put him in a live well just for a second. My heart's pounding. It's been a minute since I caught a decent fish like that, so it feels really, really good. And it also kind of changed up the way that we're gonna have to fish for at least a minute. I ended up throwing a shaky head, threw that little shaky head on a little wobble head jig head for probably 10 minutes. Didn't get a bite. I threw that spook for probably 10 minutes, didn't get a bite. And I threw a little Berkeley stick shad, which is somewhat similar to kind kind of how Jacob Wheeler's been doing a lot of his fish catching. Of course, he's using livescope a lot, and when you're in a foot of water like I just was, there's really not a whole lot of use for livescope. So I threw this little scope stick or whatever you want to call it and didn't get bit. And then I sat there and started questioning why I just sat here for 30 minutes trying to chase one fish when I can go, you know, probably catch a few more fish in other places. And just for one last hoorah, I picked up a spinnerbait, little finesse War Eagle spinnerbait. Made a cast with it, didn't get bit, reeled it back in. I threw it, and again, I'm thinking I just wasted my time fishing this area for the past 30 minutes. And I threw it one more time. It landed, it hit the cypress tree, landed on the cypress tree, and fell straight down into the water in probably 6 inches of water. And as soon as it hit the water, I clicked my reel to start reeling, and it didn't feel right. And so I thought I was stuck on a string or something. Wasn't sure. It was moving pretty decently though, so I gave it a fair chance. I set the hook, and eventually I realized that it was a fish, and it was that big fish that I was trying to catch. So y'all might have saw in the last video, it's been a pretty tough few weeks for me in the fishing. I've only caught 2 so far this morning, but we got some hours left, and we're gonna try to catch a few more and actually get them on video. Let that water pump out a little bit. So yeah, here's a fish that I saw jumping over there. So it's a good fish for sure. Again, on that War Eagle spinnerbait, right up against the edge of a cypress tree. So we're gonna let him go back. Now, I was watching him on livescope and there was a whole mess of them down there, and I dropped it right on. I was reeling it and kind of high in the water column, and I dropped it right on his head. And boy, I was really hoping that was a bass. I really was hoping that was a bass, but that right there is old mud cat instead. So you gotta be careful with them suckers, because they will stick the living crap out of you. Brush pile over here in front of me. Yep, there it is. A pretty big one too. Thought it was a fish, but another brush pile down there. There's one sticking up over here. Oh man, where are these fish at? They're being hard-headed today. Hate whenever you fish a dock and somebody's dog sees you and comes running out to you and barking. It's kind of awkward. This is what I want people to answer for me. I really would appreciate if you guys dropped into the comments and told me what your thoughts are on this. If you're a worm guy, does it bother you covering so much water so fast with a moving bait? It drives me nuts. If I'm throwing a worm, I'm picking apart every little piece. And maybe it's just me, maybe I'm OCD, but I can't pick apart a piece of water with a moving bait as effectively or as thoroughly as I can with a worm. And it always bothers me. I can take my time and throw a worm, and I mean, sometimes you don't get bit throwing a worm. Throw a moving bait and all of a sudden you get bit. So what's your thoughts on that? Let me know in the comments, because as I've said, and I always will say, I love throwing a worm, and I'm not the biggest fan of moving baits. Tough day. We caught 3 bass, caught 1 catfish. 2 of the bass came off of that shaky head. The other bass came off of the spinnerbait, and that's catfish came off the spinnerbait on livescope. That was pretty interesting. So I'll show you guys what I threw today. We tried everything. So there was the shaky head on the little wobble head, jig head. Threw this mag draft, didn't have anything on that rod. I threw a little scope stick, which I'll show you guys. Well, it's not a scope stick, it's not an actual scope stick, but close enough. Super realistic shad looking bait, and yeah, so ultra finesse. Threw a frog, threw the spinnerbait, and you can see over there, it's spook, and a jig as well. So I think the jig's right here. So yeah, we tried a whole lot. Threw on the bank, threw on trees, threw on grass, threw underneath docks, went offshore just a little bit, fished out, went out to about 20 foot, looked at some brush piles, and there was nothing on them. Live scoped them, threw the shaky head on them. I got video of it, but we didn't get bit, so I ain't gonna make y'all watch that. So yeah, tough day, but the dog days of summer, as they call it. So we'll have another video posted next week, but appreciate you guys watching. If you don't mind, hit that like, subscribe button, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Appreciate it.